Good day, sir. I'm Midshipman Lamuste Jandrian, and I will discuss the definition and the components of the gear pump. So, what is a gear pump? A gear pump is a type of rotary positive displacement pump in which liquid is pumped by passing between two meshing gears and the surroundings casing. In a gear pump, a fluid moves by enclosing a fixed volume of fluid using the interlocking gears and then transferring it as the gear rotates. This pump delivers a pulse free flow that is directly proportional to the rotational speed of the gears. The gear pump is mainly used for developing high pressure. And now, let's familiarize its parts and function. First, driver gear. Driver gear is connected to the prime mover. It rotates using the power from the prime mover. Second, driving gear or idle gear. The driving gear is in mesh with the drive gear and rotates as the driver gear rotates. Third, special bearings. Bearings are one of the core components for gear pumps. The material and design must be carefully selected and coordinated with each other to ensure safe and efficient operation of the pump. Fourth, casing. Both the driver gear and the driving gear are packed inside the casing of the gear pump. Fifth, inlet section or suction side. It is the section in the gear pump through which fluid enters the gear pump. Low pressure liquid enters the pump from the inlet section. Next, 6, outlet section or discharge side. It is the section in the gear pump through which pressurized fluid is delivered to the required area. High pressure liquid flows out from the pump from the outlet section. Next, 7, prime mover. In the gear pump, the prime mover is used to provide power to the shaft in which the driver gear is mounted. It can be an electric motor or an IC engine, or it can be manual labor. Next, the last one is the safety valve or release valve. A safety valve or release valve is installed on the discharge side so that if excess pressure is generated, it can be released and the pump can be prevented from getting damaged. So that's all for the definition and components of the gear pump, sir. Now, Midshipman Himino will discuss the disassembling and assembling of the gear pump.
So now, I'll be showing you the disassembling and assembling of a gear pump. First step is, attach the pump to the demolition or table for disassembly. With sharp metal, scratching apparatus, a pencil or magic marker, draw a line, mark on the pump from the port end cover to the end shaft cover. This will work to flatten the components when you reassemble them. Remove the cover bolts and washer on a single unit or threaded rod on multiple units. Remove the end cover port and truss plate by inserting a screwdriver or push rod. Make sure you do not scratch the surface of the engine. Truss plate and roller bearings remain inside the end cover port when released as shown. Remove the truss plate end. Lift the housing gear carefully so as not to damage the surface of the engine. Use a screwdriver or pusher if necessary. Remove the drive gear and the idler gear carefully as so not to damage the surface of the machine. Keep gear united. You have to reassemble it in pairs because the gear works simultaneously. In the multiple section unit, disconnect the carrier, bearing, use a screwdriver or pusher if necessary. Make sure you do not damage the surface of the machine. In the multiple section unit, remove the connecting shaft. Lift the gear housing carefully so as not to damage the surface of the machine. Use a screwdriver or pusher if necessary. Remove the drive and idler gear from the shaft cover carefully so as not to damage the surface of the machine. Keep gear united. You must install the drive and idler gear back in pairs as both work together. Remove the truss plate and check if it has experienced severe wear. Bearing must remain on its cover. If not, or if removable by hand, remove the end cover port. Check the truss plate if you are wearing or are slippery. If you plan to change the bearing, reverse the end cover port and release the snap ring on the bearing shaft. Remove the bearing shaft from the end cover port with the appropriate equipment. Try not to damage the seal bearing. Use the bearing drag to pull the roller bearing out of the end cover port. Remove the seal ring and check the shiny surface on the cover. If there is a deep hole, replace the end cover port if necessary. Carefully inspect the driving and idle gear of the gear pump. Also check the bearings from the scratches. Clean the parts of the pump using kerosene by applying it to the surface of the pump parts. Using a stopa, piece of fabric, dip it into the kerosene and clean the interior of the pump. After the commencement of cleaning, blow out the remaining kerosene on the interior of the pump by using air compressor gun. Make sure to replace the packing gland and O-rings on the bearing from the wear parts on it. Apply lube oil to the shaft and bearings of the pump, and also lubricate the interior of the gear pump. Carefully install the metal bearings one by one with lubrication. Next is lubricate the driving and driven gear. Slowly attach it on the pump to prevent scratch. Make sure it is properly aligned and rotate it to know if the meshing gear is in proper rotation. Lubricate the bearings before attachment on the gears. Attach the nuts on the side covers on both sides of the pumps. And make sure the side covers of it has a new packing gland to prevent the leakage of oil from the pump. As the nuts attach on the side covers, tighten it using spanner by opposite sides. Make sure the nuts are not too tight and not too loose to avoid vibration.